7:22 in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, today is International Mother Tongue or Mother Language Day, and it's being observed using technology for multilingual learning with the theme Challenges and Opportunities. And according to the United Nations, it's an annual commemoration to promote linguistic and cultural diversity and multilingualism. Here on Morning Edition, we love to explore various cultures, inclusive of languages, that comprise our diverse society. And here to help us to connect some of the linkages in relation to languages and our society is someone we interact with regularly, Dr. Visham Bhimull, who is no stranger to this program. And we also have his mentor, who is Marhé, who is a Dutch linguist, author, and a Surinamese cultural activist, originally from Curaçao, but based in Suriname, but right now he's speaking to us from The Hague in the Netherlands, where it's coming up to 12:23 in the afternoon, so we appreciate him taking the time to be with us. But before we hear from Mr. Marhé, let's hear from Dr. Visham, who is on his way to work this morning. That's why he's in the passenger seat, and it's good of you to take the time as well. So, Dr. Visham, tell us about the importance to you of a day like this when we highlight our original languages.
I just want to greet your listeners and viewers this morning. Goedemiddag aan mijn vrienden van Suriname en Nederland. And I'd like to say Mahatari Bhasa ke Din ki Badhai. So happy International World Mother Tongue Day. Because I've interacted with other parts of the diaspora, and I'd like to introduce Moti Marhé, my mentor. He's the father of Suriname, so he's the one who gave Suriname its identity. And mentorship in the context of, well, I don't want to be the father of Trinidad Bhojpuri. I just want to document the language. And we have been in contact, him, myself, Dr. Peggy Mohan, and Dr. Surendra Gambhir, the three individuals who would have done any sort of intellectual work on the Hindustani in the Caribbean. So that will be Suriname, Moti, Trinidad Bhojpuri, Peggy Mohan, as well as Surendra Gambhir, which would be Guyanese Bhojpuri.
Right. So we could always remind people that people can get more information on your work at CaribbeanHindustani.org, and they also have a Facebook page and a YouTube channel as well. So let's hear from Mr. Marhé. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Why is it important? Why is it important for people of different cultures, different roots and origins to be mindful of that historical connection via the original language from the land of their ancestors? Why would you say that is important, sir?
Well, I would say that our mother tongue, some people's mother tongue, is very important for their identity, because it's the first language from which they receive love from their mother, their parents, their relatives, and it's the language in which they are most spontaneous and can express their emotions and feelings very spontaneously and very well. But in our conditions now, as our ancestors removed from India to Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad, and so they took their own languages, their own, in Trinidad, Suriname, and Guyana, it is Bhojpuri and Awadhi, but they came into an environment where other languages were more important. And in Suriname, for instance, it was Dutch. In Guyana, Trinidad, it was English. And people wanted their children to raise up in those languages because it gave them more bright future. But still, our ancestors had a love for the language they took with them, but not only one language, they took many languages with them. And especially the Hindustani people, we call ourselves Hindustani, you say East Indians, etc. But the Hindustani people had a love for Hindi, but they took another kind of vernacular as Bhojpuri and Awadhi, and there was a relationship between these languages of superiority for Hindi and inferiority for the spoken living language. And that gave us a situation where our identity was a little disturbed. Disturbed in the meaning that parents and pundits and priests and Maulvis, they insisted that we should leave this ugly, gaily, this dirty language, this broken language. We should learn Hindi or Urdu and so, because those are the real beautiful languages. And that was a nekslag. Bisham, help me with the word nekslag. Nekslag for...
So that, that was unfortunate, or we lament the fact. Moti, to speaker tani uthao. Microphone microphone.
Okay, if I could just intervene, just the microphone, Mr. Marhé, that just raise it up from your collar, because we're hearing it rubbing against the collar. So if you could just raise it a little bit, and that will make it a lot easier. Time is going by very quickly, gentlemen, so I'll just get final comments from both of you, if we can. If I could go to Mr. Marhé first, and we really appreciate you taking the time. What would you say to people in Trinidad and Tobago, who are the primary audience, but we have viewers elsewhere? What would you say to them as far as that value, whether we're talking about the East Indian community, the African community, Portuguese, Chinese, other European connections, Syrian, Lebanese? What would you say to them as far as appreciating the original language that their ancestors would have come here to our part of the world with? Why is that important?
It's a question to Visham?
Yeah, Mr. Marhé, if you could give your opinion.
Acha. Well, any language is important. I mean, learning languages broadens your mind, broadens your consciousness. And I myself, I know about 10 languages, and I have experienced the benefit of it by my travels through, I say, our planet. And I have noticed that when I come to India and I speak Hindi to people, then they accept me more freely. And I feel proud, they feel proud. If I go to Suriname and I speak Seranantongo to my Creole brothers, they are glad, they are happy. When we go to Guyana, then we talk Guyanese to them people there. And them happy, they say, how come you to learn this language? Then we say, when we been little bit talk Guyanese, why think? Yeah. So language knowledge brings you closer to each other. And I give it a spiritual notion in this total of language knowledge, that one of the reasons of our birth on this planet is that we have to broaden our mind. I believe in evolution, I believe in karma, and believe in reincarnation. One of the main purpose is that gradually we have to broaden our mind. And happily we are now in a world with so much technology that we can speak to each other from Trinidad, we can travel to other countries, and that people are coming closer. It's not the ideal situation yet, but still knowing languages, knowing each other's languages, respecting them, brings us together.
And that's an important point, because time is going by so very quickly. But Dr. Visham, just on that issue of respect, and I think your mentor mentioned it, depending on which language you spoke or which dialect you speak in, or if you talk like you're a country bookie, as we use the term in Trinidad and Tobago, even if you're speaking English, the way you speak it has certain connotations, and the way you're classified. So there are so many issues related to just discrimination on the basis of language as well, Dr. Visham.
But what I realized too is when I speak the 5 or 6 languages I vacillate between identities. And one thing we neglect is that language is an element of identity. As Trinbagonians, as Surinamese and Guyanese, we need to appreciate that on this particular day.
And as far as guiding anyone who would probably like to get more information or maybe appreciate more the history, the value, or even the recording of information and the data that would have been collected, that you would have collected, is it all at CaribbeanHindustani.org to get more information?
CaribbeanHindustani.org, Caribbean Hindustani Facebook page, and it's on the YouTube. Moti is one of those interviews as well, speaking Suriname.
Well, Dr. Visham, I know you're heading off to work. We don't want you to be late to get into any trouble. And Mr. Marhé, thank you very much as well for joining us from The Hague in the Netherlands. Of course, originally from Curacao, but his base would have been in Suriname. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to join us today. 7:32 in Trinidad and Tobago. Here we have another submission by one of our viewers. This time, some baby starch mango sent to us by Nazim of Diamond Village. Starch really is I like Julie. Julie is my thing. And the starch, a little too stringy, man. But anyway, thanks very much for that. We really appreciate it. I know we have some real fans of starch around us, and I'm sure they'll be looking forward to those fruits to ripen as we go to the break.